Admiral Zexathera of the Hegemony 4th Fleet had conquered 17 star systems without breaking formation. Her armada of 300 vessels hung in the void like predators circling wounded prey, their hulls gleaming with the dark metal that had become synonymous with subjugation across the galaxy. Earth floated before them, blue and defiant, unaware that its time had come. The preliminary scans had been laughably simple. One inhabited world, primitive chemical rockets, scattered settlements, no unified defense grid. The humans hadn't even achieved faster-than-light travel. It would be over in hours. Admiral, her communications officer, Lieutenant Cravell, announced with barely contained excitement, "We're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface." "Surrender terms?" Zexathara asked, settling into her command throne. How refreshingly efficient of them. "No, Admiral. They're sending us entertainment files." The bridge fell silent. In her 3 decades of military service, Zexathara had never heard such words. Entertainment files? During an invasion? "Clarify, Lieutenant." Cravell's mandibles clicked nervously. "They appear to be audio-visual records, Admiral. Historical documentaries, fiction, and battle recordings. The transmission includes a message. Before you proceed, we thought you might enjoy some of our movies. Consider it a cultural exchange." A ripple of confused chittering spread across the bridge crew. Zexathara's tactical officer, Commander Yeath, leaned forward. "Admiral, this could be a trap. Perhaps these files contain viruses or psychological warfare programs." "Run them through our security protocols," Zexathara ordered. "If they pass, display them on the main screen. I'm curious to see what these primitives consider entertainment." The first file began innocuously. Enough, something called Saving Private Ryan. Edimau bridge crew watched with mild interest as human soldiers moved through what appeared to be a historical conflict. Then the landing craft doors opened. The Omaha beach sequence played in stunning, visceral detail. Zexathara watched her veteran crew, beings who had glassed planets and reduced civilizations to ash, grow increasingly quiet. The humans on screen died in droves, yet they kept advancing. Bodies piled in the surf, yet reinforcements kept coming. The sheer, stubborn refusal to retreat in the face of overwhelming firepower was unsettling. "Next file," Zexathara commanded, though her voice had lost some of its confidence. They Shall Not Grow Old followed. Then Apocalypse Now. Then Band of Brothers. Each recording showed the same pattern. Humans facing impossible odds with a combination of terror and determination that defied rational military doctrine. They died, certainly, but they died while advancing. Commander Yeath shifted uncomfortably. "Admiral, these appear to be recreational films, not actual battle records." "Are you certain?" Zexathara asked, though she dreaded the answer. The next file answered her question. The World at War began playing, a documentary series filled with actual combat footage. The Battle of Stalingrad, Iwo Jima, the Somme. Real humans, not actors, charging into machine gun fire, defending positions to the last soldier, fighting with anything they could find when ammunition ran out. But it was the final sequence that broke the bridge crew's composure entirely. Footage from something called Operation Overlord. The same beach from the fictional film, but real. Thousands upon thousands of humans hurling themselves against fortified positions, dying in waves yet never stopping. The narrator's calm voice described casualty figures that would have marked the complete destruction of most species' military capability. Yet for humans, it was merely the opening phase of a larger campaign. Lieutenant Cravell's voice cracked as he announced the next file. "Admiral, they've sent us their entire military history. Every major conflict from the past 3,000 years. The crew watched in horrified fascination as centuries of human warfare unfolded. The Crusades, the Mongol invasions, the World Wars, Vietnam. Each conflict more brutal than the last, yet humans kept fighting. They fought themselves when no external enemies existed. They fought with sticks and stones, with swords and shields, with nuclear weapons that could crack continents. They fought in trenches filled with poison gas, in jungles that devoured armies, in frozen wastelands where the cold itself was a weapon. "Admiral," Commander Yeath whispered, "look at their casualty figures for what they called the Great War. 16 million dead. 16 million. That's more than our entire invasion force." "And they fought another one just 20 years later," another officer added, voice hollow. 60 million casualties in that one. The final transmission was perhaps the most disturbing. Recent footage from something called Afghanistan, humans fighting for 2 decades in a mountain wasteland, never fully winning, never retreating, simply enduring in a conflict that would have bankrupted most interstellar civilizations. Zexthara stared at the tactical display showing Earth's pathetically small defense fleet. 12 vessels, primitive fusion drives, no energy shields. Yet something cold was growing in her chest as she watched the planet rotate peacefully below. "Sir," her weapons officer called out, "we're receiving another transmission." The screen flickered to show a human in what appeared to be a military uniform. He looked tired, weathered, but his eyes held something that made Zexathera's blood chill. "We hope you enjoyed the films," the human said calmly. "That was just our entertainment industry's interpretation of history. If you'd like to see the real thing, please proceed with your invasion. We'll be waiting." The transmission ended. For a long moment, the bridge was silent except for the hum of life support systems. Finally, Zexathera spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "Lieutenant Cravell?" "Yes, Admiral?" "Open a channel to High Command. Tell them—" She paused, watching Earth spin lazily on the main screen. "Tell them we're filing a request for immediate withdrawal. Mark Earth as a Class Omega protected world." "Admiral?" Commander Yith asked. "On what grounds?" Zexthara looked at her crew, battle-hardened veterans who had never shown fear in the face of enemy fire. Now they stared at their screens with something approaching terror. "On the grounds," she said slowly, "that some species are too dangerous to conquer. Even when they lose, they win. Especially when they lose." The Hegemony Fourth Fleet departed Earth's solar system within the hour. In their official report, they classified humans as a post-extinction species, beings so inherently destructive that they had already destroyed themselves and were merely awaiting the final confirmation. It would be another century before the galaxy learned the truth. Humans weren't extinct at all. They were just getting started.